Okay, it's October 6th. I just got my both harnesses off of my 6.0. It's a 2003 early model F350 with 4-wheel drive. The motor's being worked on right now to have a new high pressure pump replaced. It's going to cost me over $1,000 to have this replaced to a brand new harness. Harness looks pretty intact. Looked at any of the wear points. Didn't see anything significant. Wires are still somewhat pliable, but this is the problem. Removing it from the Ficm was almost impossible because whoever had worked on it before decided to glue or silicone in the original connectors because they must have broken the clips. The only clip that was still intact was this one in the middle, but they still siliconed it. Go figure. So when we tried to remove, it came apart, basically broke out of the connector clip, and that's what it looked like. Fortunately, it's still together. Don't see any damaged pins. The Ficm pins looked alright. So I went online and bought the connectors, ranging from $20 to $30 something. They put these plugs in, and they're basically the same pattern as the empty spots on the plug themselves. If you look at the pattern there, for example, 3 on the right there, that starts at pin there's pin 1 up there, so that correlates. Pin 1 correlates with the holes that are open. So they do that for you where they send them from. Anyway, so my plan is to remove these pins and try and keep them in the same order, and using this tool that I bought for $3. And they're online. Look for a Ficm extraction tool. Basically go around the wire like this, slide it into the hole, and you're very gentle with it. Slide it along the pins, and it will go through, and eventually this piece is, that rubber is all the way up, but this piece is in between, is in there. And if you look, these are where the barbs are located. If you look, some of them are broken from pulling it apart, but it will release those barbs and allowing you to pull the wires straight out. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and I'll show you in a moment. Okay, so I removed this piece that has the holes on it. It's up against the wires in here. I pulled it out gently, but before I did that, I want to keep the wires in the same line, so I took this, or you can use anything you want. Keep this top and bottom rows separate. As I pull it apart, they stayed somewhat in line, and I just made sure this connector is going on with the same, using the pin holes in those corners here, reference with those to where this thing should be placed. The other connector is the same, looks identical, except check the grooves. These grooves here, make sure that they're the same as the old ones, if you still have these intact. Mine wasn't intact, it just had these pieces and this left, but on the back side of this has the same pin number. I took the good one that was still intact, matched it up with the other one, knowing that that goes with that one. I put that one aside, so that leaves this one left. So I'm making sure I have the correct holes lined up. I just slid the pins into the little holes, making sure they're all lined up, and I gently work them in until they pass through that rubber weather seal. And now I'm going to work each one of them. If I can do them all at once, I'll do it. Work each one of them until I can see them butt up to the end here, and they should click in. So very gently, I'm going to take each one with my pliers here and work each one of them in. The thing you want to make sure is this little white tab here needs to be protruding out. That tells you that it's slid over, and it's allows this thing here slides, and if you could see, the smaller little narrow part locks the pins in, so you need to slide it over so it's open. So I'm going to go ahead and get a flathead, push it in, and it should protrude. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so I got my flathead on the other side. I'm going to head. This is this side with pin number 1 is on this side. 8 and 24 is here. So you're going to push the tab from the pin 1 side out until you see it pop out. See that? Now it's sticking out. So now it's unlocked. Now these cables should slide in. Pretty easy. Now I'm going to look inside here, each of these holes, make sure I can visualize the metal pins butt up against the end here. Then I'll know that they're all the way through. I know if I look at the one that's still good, intact, you can see the metal pins. You can see the little pins in there, as opposed to just black. So just take your time, slowly work these pins in, being very gentle. push these in, and you look here, now I can see them butted up. You can see the little silver pin in there. With each one of these, very gentle so you don't break the wire sheathing insulator. So I'm going to continue this and we'll go to the next